Yo, good morning, folkers. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you're in the world. This is Tyrant's Bane. Welcome to the Definition of Anarchy. It is Saturday morning in Southern California, March 20th, 2021. And I'm cruising on my way to the farmer's market. But I want to talk about a couple things. So I might have to split my time. You know, I might have to do two separate lives, but you know, it's important things to talk about. Plus, I plan on doing a live stream tomorrow. I'll be doing my rucking. But there are a few things I want to talk about, right? One of them being this whole Steven Crowder situation. You know, Steven Crowder, you know, he did his little show, and he was talking about how black farmers are going to get reparations. Okay, black farmers are going to get reparations. Oh, what's up, Princess Diana? What's good? How you doing this morning, this evening, this afternoon, whatever? So Steven Crowder had a few choice words to say about black farmers or farmers of color getting reparations, but not reparations, but yeah, basically reparations. I think they were like allotted $50 billion for farmers of color, and he seemed to feel a certain way about it. But I want to talk about the question of whether or not what he said was racist or if it was a joke. All right. You know, because people will say, you have people out there saying, oh, you know, it wasn't racist, it was a joke. He was joking around. He's a comedian, blah, 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 right? But I understand that you can tell a joke that's racist. Racism and jokes are mutually exclusive. A racist cat can tell jokes. A racist cat can tell racist jokes. And that's what he did. So in my mind, he was telling racist jokes. So, you know, they're not separate, right? They don't have to be separate. They can exist in the same space at the same time. And that's what happened with Steven Crowder, okay? Now, he had several issues, right? One thing he brought up was the fact was, well, not even the fact. In his mind, he didn't even know that there were that many black farmers, right? But then he points out that out of 3 million farmers in this country, about 30,000 of them or so, I think it's about the tens of thousands, right? Are black, and he was wondering why that small amount of farmers would get so much money. He was wondering why that amount of farmers would get so much money. But you know, one thing we have to understand, oh shit, is that hold on, y'all. I got an issue. That money is not just for black farmers. All right? It's not just for black farmers, it's for Asian, you know, Hispanic, indigenous folks. But the fact that he will point out and single out black people should tell you a lot about his feelings on it. You know, even though he was telling jokes, you know, he singled out black folks, you know, and started going on this little tirade, him and his little friends, talking about, you know, Hennessy trees and shit like that. I mean, it wasn't funny, but, you know, they tried. Yeah, it's for I guess it's for anyone but white farmers. Yeah, and the reason behind it, this is the reason they're doing it. The reason they're doing it is because there had been decades of discrimination against black farmers in regards to agriculture, right? In regards to contracts with the government. You know, a lot of these farmers will get government contracts for different reasons, for different purposes, right? For schools and for the military and things like that, and other reasons. And, you know, they discriminated against black farmers for a very long time. And not only that, but to get off into a little bit of history, when slavery ended, right? When slavery ended, a lot of those slaves got into sharecropping, all right? Sharecropping was just another form of slavery, okay? They worked in the fields for little to no money, and they also owed money on loans that they received. So they actually owed the farm owners who were white. They owed the farm owners money. So instead of getting a good wage, a lot of that money would go back to the white farmer. Okay. Now this was a form of reparations for white slave owners who lost their slaves. Yes. Former white slave owners received reparations because the slaves were free. And you know that's pretty crazy, right? But that's true. That this was done for them. So anyway, and this is one thing we have to understand about slavery, right? When people tell you to get over slavery and shit like that, they're woefully ignorant about what happened after slavery. So I'm gonna tell you what happened after slavery. After slavery, I'm gonna tell you what didn't happen. What didn't happen after slavery was millions of slaves were not magically given an education, right? They didn't magically know how to read. They didn't magically know how to be financially literate, right? So it wasn't like as soon as they were free from slavery, they became financially literate. They became they became able to read. They were automatically educated. No, they were released from slavery into a world they had nothing. They did not know how to deal with. They didn't know how to read. They didn't know how to write. They didn't know how to deal with finances. They didn't know the laws, right? So what do you think is going to happen when you send people off into a world and they don't know what the hell to do with themselves, because for so long and for so many generations they were not allowed to be educated, right? So they got into the sharecropping. You know, they know better, right? So they got into sharecropping, blah, blah, blah. And eventually, once they did start learning how to read, once they did start evolving in this new world they released into, a lot of them became owners of farmland. I think there were like over 1 million black farm owners in the country after slave, in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, right? But what started to happen? See, this is why there's only so many black farmers out there. Stephen Crowder and those like him, who I don't know what notion they have about slavery ending and all that other shit. But what happened was, once they did start owning land and owning farmland by like the hundreds of thousands to millions, what happened was their white counterparts started to fuck with them, right? They started to burn their land. They started to lynch. They were lynching people. They were lynching black farm owners. The cops would set up. They would frame black farm owners, right, to go to prison. And then also, what would happen is black farm owners would get swindled out of their land, through cons, right? They would get tricked out of their land. And what do you think is going to happen when these black farmers go to the court to try to get some type of justice for it? Well, the justice system was a little bit skewed against black folks. So that also happened. So there were a number of reasons why so many black farmers lost their land. It wasn't because they were like lazy and said fuck it, right? No, they were forced off their land in many different ways. Many different ways. So that's why there aren't so many black farm owners now. So out of those 3 million farm owners, where 30-some thousand are black, well, it used to be a third of that were black. But I just explained to you why that is no longer the case. So that when you have that understanding, you kind of know why, okay, well, and then also what happened? Well, the government screwed them too. This is why the government wants to, now, y'all know how I feel about the government. I think it's bullshit. See, I think this, people think that this is going to be a free handout to black farm owners. No, it's not. No, it's not. What I think is going to happen is if they take this money, they're going to be forced to grow GMO foods. They're going to be forced to, that's what I think is going to happen. You know, they want to get rid of all the cows, right, and all the animals, right, and they want us to eat all plant-based stuff. They want to force us to eat GMO plants in place of meat. So they're going to recruit black farmers. If they take this money, I think that's going to be a condition. Now, this is just a belief of mine. As part of the Green New Deal, right? The Green New Deal, they want to use black farm owners, and they're dangling this money as a carrot to get these black farm owners to grow GMO foods and all this other shit. And that, I don't trust it, right? I don't trust this money coming from the government to the black farmers. I don't trust it. But despite that, you know, this would be the reason. This would be the reason they would be compensated, because a lot of these black farm owners own the land that their ancestors, it was their ancestors. It was passed down to them through generations. So if things would happen like they were supposed to happen, where the black farmers back in the day after slavery were not fucked with, there would probably be 2 million black farm owners. I mean, for hundreds of years, we had been, the slaves, there were more farmers that were black, because they were forced to do it, but and they didn't own the farm, but they were the ones doing the farming, right? They didn't own the land, but they were the ones cultivating. They were the ones harvesting. They were the ones sowing and plowing and all that other shit. They were the ones making that land, do what it do. So, we already have a natural ability. Well, all humans do, really, to farm and cultivate and all that other shit. But I'm very leery about this money coming from the government to these black farmers. I think it's going to be a hot mess. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it has to do with, government contracts and the Department of Agriculture. When you're talking about the Department of Agriculture, you're talking about, that's government. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And I don't know how far this money is going to go. I don't know if it's going to encourage new black farm owners or black people to become farm owners and take advantage of this. I don't know, but if it oh my God, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. But that's why there's not so many black farmers right now, Steven Crowder, is because a lot of the black farm owners that did exist were screwed out of their land. You know what I'm saying? So, that's that. But yeah, that was some racist shit, because like I said, it's not just black farmers, man. Let's see what y'all talking about. There's structural things the post-slavery society caused: public transport links, building and job opportunities being built far away from communities. Those buildings and jobs are still far away. Yeah. Seems like the same miners went through in company-owned towns. Steven Crowder is racist. For sure. Yeah, Steven Crowder is racist. He just tells racist jokes. Terrence Bain, TDOA, Sally Hemings. Learning from when she was little, she knew French and English. They educated her teach their own. Yeah, but that didn't happen with all of them. A lot of these slaves were released. They didn't know shit. Ain't interesting. Like Frederick Douglass, like there were some black slaves that snuck and learned how to read, because they had, white sympathizers that would teach them how to read, but that was few and far between. All of a sudden, the government around the world is safe farmers now. All right, the farmers now. Yep. Hold on, guys. Xander was good. Yeah, so basically, Steven Crowder told racist jokes about black people. What? Because he's mad. I'm gonna tell you why. Because he's mad that black people are getting money. He's mad because black people are being targeted with this money. That's as simple and plain as that. And that's the very definition of racism. What? You know what I mean? So, and you know what's funny?
Baba.
Yo, yes, baby.
Elijah wants a blueberry.
Okay.
Can I have a blueberry?
Let me tell y'all what's funny. I was watching Brian from High Impact Flicks talk about this, right? And I like Brian, but sometimes I feel like he's just being intellectually dishonest, right? Especially in regards to the situation. And I'm gonna tell you why. He's a smart dude. Brian's smart, right? He's smart, and I think he's a real cat. I think he has I think he has a good heart and all that. But I just feel like there's certain things that he doesn't understand. And in that lack of understanding, it kind of shows how ignorant he can be, right? And I'm gonna tell you why, right? This is not an insult, no disrespect to Brian, but I gotta be real about it. I was watching this show and he was talking about this Steven Crowder thing, right? And you know what he said? He said, I bet there's some black people that don't think it's racist. And then he mentioned some black people, right? And when I tell you who these black people are, you're going to see what I'm talking about. He said the Hodge twins don't think it's racist. The Hodge twins. Then he said, I bet Candace Owens doesn't think it's racist. I bet Anthony Brian Logan doesn't think it's racist. He mentioned. Now, Brian, let me explain something to you. Those people they're not the barometer of what black people, I wouldn't use them as the barometer to gauge how black folks feel about racism. Okay. No. I would not use them as a barometer to gauge how black people feel about certain things in society, because those people clearly turned their backs on black folks a long time ago, the black community. All right, these are people who have said out of their mouth that they feel like when they see white people, they have to go up to them and tell them that, oh, I'm a good black Negro. I ain't like them crazy Negroes in the hood. Oh, I'm a good black Negro. Don't put me in with them. Like, these are people who seek validation from white people. All right. These are people who pander, right, to white conservatives because they got that money. Okay. White conservatives break these cats off all day, all night. They break them off. Like, they get bread. You know what I'm saying? When they get it, when they talk that shit, especially when they shit on black people, because that's what they do. I ain't never seen neither one of them cats say anything good about black people, about the black community. They always shitting on the black community. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, they seek validation from the white conservative community. So they're not a good gauge. I'm sorry, Brian, but that's not who you use. All right, that's just not who you go to. You know, because they're panderpublicans, right? I call them panderpublicans. They go out of their way to pander to those in the Republican Party. They're panderpublicans, just like there are people who pander to the Democratic Party, the pandercrats. So, yeah, I ain't rolling. No. And then it was funny when he said, I don't think it's racist. I'm sorry, Brian, but it doesn't matter if you think it's racist or not. Whether you think that Steven Crowder shitting on black people is racist is irrelevant. It's just irrelevant. It doesn't move the needle either way. I'm just here to tell you, you're not qualified. That's what I'm gonna say about that. You're not qualified. Brandon Tatum ain't qualified. ABL ain't qualified. Candace Owens ain't qualified. The Hodge twins ain't qualified. Candace Owens is the woman who sued a city official because the city official's son was launching racist attacks at her. And then she turns around and says that there's no such thing as racism that holds black people back. You're talking about a government official whose son is committing racist attacks towards her. That's a whole nother story. So I wouldn't use them. They're not the ones. I was waiting for him to mention a black person that had some sense, that was really actually objective, but they're not. So I can't roll with that. Let's see. This is off topic, but I think the pole shift is upon us very, very soon. So many volcanoes erupting, earthquakes. Yep. Yeah. I mean, they're not the ones. But I'll be right back. Sorry to keep you waiting. So yeah, and look, as in the, you know what? I'm not I'm not the type to get all butthurt when people say racist shit, right? I'm just not. But that don't mean I don't recognize when motherfuckers say racist shit. I know, I cuss in the car with my kids, I know. Call CPS on me. Okay. Yeah, so I'm I don't really get offended. Like was I offended by what Steven Crowder said? No. I'm not offended by it. It is what it is. Like I don't have to be offended to recognize what some racist shit. Like y'all know, I grew up with a racist grandmother. She was my grandmother on my mother's side was white, and she was racist than a big dog. You know, her daddy cut her off because she got pregnant by a black dude, and that really made her racist. That made her even more racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was a billionaire oil baron. My great granddad on my mother's side, white dude, worth billions of dollars with the oil industry. Cut her ass off. Like when they wasn't playing back in those days. If their daughter got pregnant, like you see in the movies, the daughter, the white mother gets cut off by her rich white daddy. That happens. That happened to my grandmother. You know. But anyway, so I'm not offended by what Steven Crowder said. I just think he's an idiot. You know why I'm not offended? Because I know the shit he was saying was not true. Like Hennessy trees and all the stupid shit he said. Like, but it was still racist. Like real shit. Now I would never call for anybody to be censored or removed from YouTube, and that's the biggest problem here, to me. The fact that all these people are calling for Steven Crowder to be removed from YouTube, to be, censored. That's a problem. That's a slippery slope. I believe in free speech, and he has every right to say some racist shit out of his mouth. Okay, he has every right. You know what I'm saying? He has every right to say some racist shit. Just recognize if you say some racist shit around the wrong people, you might get your block knocked off. That's one thing you have to understand. There are consequences to your actions, right? If, like, I agree. You can call people the N-word. Go ahead. You have every right to call somebody an N-word. You call the wrong person the N-word, you might get your block knocked off. Okay? Who did that? I think Scottie Pippen knocked somebody out for calling him the N-word. You know what I'm saying? In Beverly Hills, of all places. So, you just got to recognize, if you don't want your jaw to get dislocated, you might not want to say the wrong thing around the wrong people, but you have every right to say it. And I don't agree with them trying to censor Steven Crowder, because it's going to spread. That shit is going to. They're already doing it. This cancel culture is getting out of control. I think Nicolette Moore asked what he said. Well, he was talking about the black farmers receiving money from the government. He had a real problem with it, and he kind of covered his anger with jokes, and he would say stupid shit like he didn't know that there were that many black farmers, and then he got into this whole black accent, talking about Hennessy trees and all this stupid shit, because of course, black farmers, all they grow are Hennessy trees, right? Black folks love Hennessy so much. But it has to be the VSOP Hennessy. You know what I mean? So, the little stupid shit he said, it's just dumb. It was dumb. It was racist and not funny. But he has every right. It is what it is. But the bigger problem is the censorship. We cannot allow them to censor anybody. Steven Crowder should be able to say whatever the hell he wants to say on any platform, right? And the people calling for this, they don't know what they're doing. These people calling for all this censorship do not know what they're doing, man. They do not know what they're doing. They are creating a huge problem by validating this cancel culture, this censorship bullshit. This is how it cracked. How do you think it happened in Nazi Germany? How do you think Hitler got so popular? How do you think Hitler was able to do what he was able to do? He didn't just come in one day and say, okay, everybody do what I say. All the Jews get locked up, blah, blah, blah. No, it didn't start like that. It started with propaganda. It started with a propaganda campaign, and then it would continue with censorship of those who would speak out against him. And then they came and got the guns from the citizenry, because Germany was all about keeping it bearing arms before Hitler got there. Like they was all up on their shit. You know what I'm saying? And then Hitler came into being, and he used his propaganda campaign. He manipulated people. He got people to agree with all the the authoritarian bullshit that he was pushing. And then this happened. Well, this is the same path we're going down right now. And this is why I don't see why people had a problem with what Gina Carano had to say. See, Gina Carano was comparing Nazi Germany. Well, she wasn't even comparing Nazi Germany to America right now. She was comparing pre-Nazi Germany. Like, how did it start? How were they able to do what they were able to do? How were they able to go in and round up all the Jews eventually? Well, it's because he convinced the neighbors of the Jews to treat the Jews like shit, to beat on them, to turn them in, to censor them. Like that was the whole point behind what Gina Carano said. You know, and you know, of course they want to turn it into gas chambers and, oh, she's comparing gas chamber and Nazi camps to. No, she didn't say anything about a Nazi camp. She didn't say. She said they got the neighbors to beat the neighbors, basically. The neighbors of the Jews to beat on the Jews and all that, to demonize them, right? That's what they were able to do. Demonize this group of people so that their neighbors would attack them. That's what's going on right now. Okay? Steven Crowder, is he a piece of crap? Is he not funny? Sure. But I would not call for him to be mobbed and censored and beat on and all that other stuff. Let him continue to expose his own ignorance. And then in doing so, he's going to expose the ignorance of the people that agree with him or go along with what he's saying. And we can recognize, yes, and we can recognize, that way we can recognize who's who. Censorship is the worst thing you can do for people of this country. You know, that censorship, we do not need it. All right, guys, I'm at the farmer's market. I'm gonna get back on this on my way to somewhere else when I get back in the car. All right, we'll continue this conversation. Peace out.